I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
The only way to have power is to be politically engaged, which means you have to vote. In order to vote, you must be registered. The only way to have power is to be politically engaged, which means you have to vote. In order to vote, you must be registered. The only way to have power is to be politically engaged, which means you have to vote. In order to vote, you must be registered. Okay, and welcome to One Hartford. We've got a brand new panel, and we're going to have a lot of fun here. Before we get started, just want to let you know that Olga Vasquez, the Registrar of Voters, is part of the panel. And due to scheduling conflict, she's not here today, but she will be joining us in the upcoming program. Joining me, of course, is the one and only Mike McGarry. We have Reverend Henry Brown.
Hello.
And of course, the one and only former Deputy Chief of Police, Gerry Pleasent. Good morning, Gerry. How are you?
Good morning.
It's good to have you here.
I'm pleased to be here.
So tell me, what's happening here in the city of Hartford? We'll start with you, Gerry.
Well, first of all, let's give the audience a view of why we're here. Some months ago, a group of us met, some of them right here at the table, and we wanted to put together a panel that will hone in on some of the serious problems of the city. A lot of it revolves around money, which we do not have. A lot of it also revolves around how we spend money, which seems to be an ongoing disaster. And each of us, in time, will present that argument. So, Mr. McGarry, I believe you have some things on your mind that you'd like to get off, and we patiently await your rhetoric.
Well, it's not rhetoric, it's reality. The reality is that Hartford's painted itself into a corner, budget-wise, over the last 4, 5, 6 years. They haven't concentrated on the grand list. And the only answer for cities under our property tax system is the grand list. I'll give you an example. Some years ago, the top of the landfill was finally filled in, making plans. Plans were set aside, ended up being set aside, to put greenhouses up there. Now remember, you grow up, you don't grow down on the landfill. So it could have created jobs, created revenue, and done something with useless land. Those plans still sit on a shelf. All they need to do is put an RFP out, a request for proposal, and they would have jobs and revenues. But they don't think that way, leading to this deficit situation. It's a true deficit, $44 million deficit. I watched it very closely. Now they're going to sell off the parking to themselves. Essentially, it's a bookkeeping trick. The city's going to move it from one part of the city to the other part of the city and take out of the pension fund the money to balance the budget and give them some surplus for next year. That's what the mayor says. That's tough. Selling off an asset. Do you lose control of the parking revenues? Yes. Do you lose control of the deal, able to make deals with businesses? Yes. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know if it, but where's the council going to go? What are they going to do? You can't magically, and people say cut, cut, cut. I know from my experience, and you know I'm conservative Republican, there's not much left to cut. Departments that used to be 22 people are now 8. The clerk's office, which is the heart of city government, the clerk, was 15, 16. Now it's down to 7 or 8. So there's not much to cut. You know, the big departments, as you know, it's police, it's fire, it's bond payments, it's healthcare, it's pensions. Very little room in any of those.
So now this issue around the tax, I don't mean the tax, the parking garage. If the city sells the garages to itself, and then the entity that it the self-entity that buys the garages, can they then turn around and sell the garages to a private contractor at an inflated price?
No. It would be the pension fund. The pension fund is somewhat autonomous, has its own pile of money to take care of the pensions. The city is legally obligated to kick in X amount per year, unless the interest on the money, like back when I was on the city council, the interest on the money helped us a lot. It helped allow us to get the tax cuts we gave. back when the mill rate was 30. Imagine a mill rate of 30. Now it's 74 plus, and he wants to make it 2 or 3 mills higher. I think it's a setup for the council not to raise taxes and be heroes. I think that's the deal he made with the council. They're gonna complain, they're gonna make noise about this and make noise about that. But if they follow through, they'll find a way to reduce that 2.5 mills maybe to a mill and say, look, we were heroes. But still leaves us in an untenable position of having our taxes too high to attract new business. If you don't attract new business, you don't have the revenues.
All right, so then this here garage thing, this is a...
More than garages.
It's assets.
Assets, including the asset of the cash flow. It doesn't matter if your garages, parking meters, parking lots, if they don't make money. So it's the assets plus the cash flow.
Okay, now walk me through this. Because as Gerry mentioned in the beginning, it's all about the cash. Of course, what we really need to do is increase the grand list and get more cash. But I mean, you know, if it's almost like budgeting water in the desert. I mean, it's eventually just going to run. There's not enough. But I want him to walk me through this cash flow.
Okay,
Is the asset cash?
The asset throws off cash. This year, there's $3.5 million surplus in the parking authority.
Oh.
That $3.5 million ends up in the city budget. They're selling the $3.5 million, you know, and that $3.5 million goes, whoever buys it, to them. Whoever buys it is the pension authority. Pension authority is the city. It's a different arm of the city. It's autonomous. It keeps your pension, pays your pension. They're legally obligated to pay your pension forever unless we're Detroit.
But you, very good, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was just about to get into something like that. Detroit's not the only city. New York City itself seems to be having some serious problems. When a lot of this pension problems began to surface, I started meeting with friends, Calixto Torres, who I consider very knowledgeable. He was one of the few people in the city council at the time that has a master's degree in city managership. And he's pretty sharp on the numbers. I requested, and I did receive, a meeting with the city's treasurer. And lo and behold, I think a lot of people really don't know the treasurer that well. We are fortunate to have a person of this quality.
He's good character.
Wait a minute.
Notwithstanding, what?
Let me get there.
All right.
Okay, I'll try to paint the picture. Through his leadership and investments, he got an 8% return. Who gets an 8% return today? That's outstanding.
Yeah, but that doesn't help our financial situation.
It does.
It does.
Well, okay.
It
It could be. It's better than a poor return.
It's nice to say that we have someone that's honest, who's working, who's using his head, and is getting some results. Now, like anyone else, he's going to have his enemy. I'm sorry, I'm not one of them. I'm one who.
Okay, so is he running for office?
I'm not inside his mind, but
I mean, you know, he could buy a commercial. But so him as the treasurer, how does that impact? You were addressing the pension issue,
right?
Because
He's at the pension commission too.
right.
The guy who's gonna be running things, essentially, is the treasurer, because if he tells the pension committee, we're not buying those garages, where does the city find $35 million?
Right.
Now, let me ask you about your community. Would they be happy? Many of the people you represent work with the renters, correct?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what's happening to them?
No.
Let me tell you. Because of the deal made in 2011, to get rid of that surcharge, which was killing us at 15%, and to keep the homeowners happy, a homeowner pays a 30% assessment. $100,000 house, right? Businesses pay 70% on 70, homeowners pay 30. But apartments are going up to 70. Meaning about a 30% increase in taxes in the next 3 years. And they're already twice what they were a few years ago. So renters are gonna see either a steep increase in rent, or a steep decrease in maintenance, or abandonment.
That is
But-
a problem.
but wait-
No, that is a problem.
However, this is not occurring everywhere, which
Only in
means.
Connecticut,
Yeah.
only Hartford.
Yeah. Which means that those that are in pretty good position and could afford it will move out of here. There's
Or
no
buy
need
a
to
home.
Stay here, or buy.
But how about the one that's not
The-
fortunate enough?
Right.
There you go.
How about the one that's fortunate enough?
In those renters. So we hear that there's going to be an increase, which is, I guess I was saying on the news earlier that
2.5.
the average homeowner will pay about $70 extra a year
That's the new
in
proposed
taxes.
budget, right?
in taxes on his home, but they left out the apartment people.
Yes, well, here's what's
They
happening.
always leave them out.
That's
So
right. They don't, they leave them out.
what about the condo people?
No, you gotta understand, here's our situation. 1s to 3s are considered homes, right? 4 and above are considered apartments.
All right.
The problem is the tweeners. The great big guys understand this. The big guys that have big properties understand it and they build it in. They know it's like this, you know? And they can do it because they go to court and they win. But the little guy that's got a 6-family somewhere, or a 5 or a 4, or up to about an 18, he's in desperate shape. Water bills have doubled, insurance is up, maintenance costs are up, right? Tenant pool sadly has been diminished, and I'll tell you why. Now he's had a doubling of his taxes, now he's gonna see a third increase more. Facing the situation of 3 families that are at 30%. But let me tell you another trick. You know the CRD apartments, the new apartments downtown?
Yes.
They're coming in at the 30%. Did you know that?
No.
All right, here you own a nice apartment downtown or anywhere in town, right? You've kept it up, you've invested in it, you're very happy with it. You're now gonna be competing against a brand new unit with CRDA as an equity investor. You're getting money at say 2%, commercial money at 2%, and your tax rate is gonna be the homeowner rate at 30%. You're across the street, right? You got an older building, needs more work, water's gone up, this has gone up. Now your taxes will be 2.5 times the taxes of the brand new building.
That's a problem.
And the,
That's a
the
major
CRDA is what, the Capital Region Development?
Yeah.
Yes,
Right,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Right.
And you know why that happened? It happened because they went to the governor, Susan Hopgood and Mike Freemuth, and said, no one will take our deal at 74 mills. Because there's gonna be 74 mills in a year or two. No bank, no developer will take our deal. Governor, what are we gonna do? And from what I hear, was the governor said, well, you got all these options. This is gonna take too long, that's too much paperwork. Your option is, go with the 30%, same as homeowners.
Look, I don't know, I don't dwell too much in.
Following it pretty easy though, you know, doubling taxes is pretty easy.
I don't dwell too much into the politics part of it, but I am concerned about this new budget that, he was talking about last night.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned about the people
Okay.
that's not able to afford all this stuff. Did they take into consideration those people's needs? I don't think so.
Reverend, you have to put politics in it.
I'm not talking about, I understand that part of it, but what I'm talking about is, do they ever take into consideration?
Let's say,
Like what you're talking about, the people, I'm talking about primarily the Hartford residents that don't have.
The little guy.
The little guy that can't afford all this. Did they ever think about that, Mike? Or
Well-
did they just say, okay, we're just gonna do this anyway, and they're gonna be able to survive on their own?
the Democratic Party is the party of the little people. The Democrats control, the Democrats and the left of Working Families Party have all 9 votes. And every single state senator, every single state rep is a Democrat. They all consider themselves liberal, working for the working poor. And what are they doing to the working poor?
They're killing
They're
them.
killing them. They're killing them every day,
Either
yeah.
the rents are going up dramatically, or the services are going down dramatically, or, worst of all, here's the long run, here's the real problem, because we gotta look long run. You have certain elements from New York City running around here buying apartments at half their value. $50,000 apartments are going for $25,000 now, all over the city. And at
Signs
20
are everywhere.
Right,
Yeah.
at 25,000, you can make the math work. However, what does that do to our grand list? The value of our properties, apartments, are gonna tumble because you can't make money at $50,000 a unit. They gotta be 25, because that's the way the math works. When we go doing a rebound in a couple of years, where are we at?
Well, where's our leadership in all of this?
Our state reps are sadly not even thinking about this. And one state rep told me he's not got one call from one council person.
You know,
Let me see.
go ahead, Mr. Pleasant.
Which leads me back to the voters. And a lot of this has to go back to the voters. They're not thinking. When it comes time to vote for these positions, they're not studying the person who is running for office. They have very little idea of what this person brings to the table.
Gerry, the one thing I'm gonna say about that, Gerry, is that I've been saying this all along for years. Until these people stop being friends with these board people that they're putting into office, things gonna remain the same. You got to have a new change. You got to put new blood into these places, man. But people vote for the people that they like.
Well,
They don't vote for the people that are qualified. Now I believe that.
Also, it's a touchy subject for some people, they vote strictly ethnically. And we live in a multi-ethnic community. And people better learn to vote for the people who best qualified to serve them, to serve the greater good of the city.
Well, look at New Britain. Now, I mean, exactly what the situation is and how you can solve it. In New Britain, they're going to tax each landlord $150 per unit for the various services that landlords get from the city.
Mm-hmm.
And landlord says, this is not fair. $150 a unit. We pay our taxes. We maintain our buildings. What is this? So the landlords got together and told their tenants, guess where $150 is coming from. And he said, well, I don't know, you pay it. Well, I'm not going to pay it. I'd go out of business. If I got to pay that $150 a year, I get 50 units, that's my profit. Why am I going to be in business if I make no profit? So the landlords told the people that rent, who don't vote enough, or don't vote very often, or don't know who to vote for, according to you, here they knew directly, if this Tim O'Brien stays in, my rent's going up. If we elect Aaron Stewart, my rent's going to stay the same or go down. So the landlords had buses at the apartments. They pulled the buses up and said, free ride to the polls.
Well, it is often said
I like that. I like that.
right, but until the issue hits your wallet, you really don't care.
True.
And a lot of times, the voter is somewhat insulated from a direct hit. I mean, it hits them ultimately, but they either don't know it or it's woven into some other portion of their reality. So it's like the other guy's problem. But Reverend Brown said something that I thought was kind of interesting about new blood. To speak to what you were saying, even if people vote ethnically, all right, which is a reality that may not change anytime soon, it still doesn't mean that you could vote for the wrong person.
Right.
I mean, you might need new blood, but you need the right blood.
The right blood.
Okay, so just changing course in the middle of the ship doesn't mean you're going in the right direction.
Right,
and
right.
Maybe we need a better grade of.
Well, here's the solution.
Individual.
As you know, I've been involved in the Republican Party for some time. And we're looking at 2015. Depending a lot on the gubernatorial race and how much help, if we get a Republican governor, how much help we get. If we get enough help, we will be competitive again. And I won't go into all the details. Now, I think Republicans are going to need a mix next time. An old timer, somebody that's been around for a while, and a new person. The idea, we need new blood. New blood doesn't know what us characters know.
Right, they don't know what they're doing.
They don't know what they're doing. They don't understand, a lot of them, that all the working city government, the pieces that go in. So you need somebody or a couple of people who have a pretty good idea of that. And yes, you need some new blood. So a mix, if Republicans were to be successful, it would need a mix like that.
Now, when I was talking about new blood, when I was talking about new blood, I'm talking about people that already know. I'm not talking about somebody who just vote in and don't have experience. I'm talking about people that already experience in these type of things. But because we know we got some people out there that are qualified in those things. Like I said before, guys, y'all all know that I'm not an expert on political things, politicians, but I do know what I observe. I do know what I see. I do know what I hear from the people.
Yeah.
Okay, and the one thing that I'm a people person. I'm concerned about what happens to other people. I looked at some of the things that he was talking about last night about the layoff. About he want to lay people off. I mean, what do that solve? What do that do?
Well,
I mean, who are they going to lay off? That's my question. Who? Is it going to be people in the administration? Is it going to be people that's out in the city working?
Well, if you look at the situation, like I've studied it now for the last few years, most of the departments, as they're down to bone now, you're cutting into marrow.
Yeah.
There's very little. People say waste, cut.
there isn't anymore.
There isn't. And because, as I said, the big ones are police and fire, and they're gonna cut the police back by not putting a new class on.
What?
So,
No
by
new
eliminating
class.
a new class, the retirements will reduce the size of the police force.
But wait a minute, I was
But
talking
you know,
to Chief
they
Rebella,
do-
Jerry. I was talking to Chief Rebella, and they already was going out and trying to recruit new classes. So
They don't have the money.
They're dropping a class. That's
Oh
part of the
my
budget.
God, man, the city gonna be in trouble.
And the firemen take a reduction, and they're gonna have to find some new techniques.
But see,
But let's be honest, as
we
technology
can't
goes
afford
on,
this.
they can't afford it. How are they gonna pay the bills, Jerry? You have to pay the bills.
Right.
And the big ones are police, fire, pension, which you can't do anything about, it's contractual, bonding, can't do anything about, and health insurance, can't do anything about. So you tell me where it's coming from. I don't
Police
know.
department and fire
Hold
department.
on. Let me interject something here. Some things they could do through better management of expenditures that would save the city money. Let me give you an example.
I think-
Well, listen.
All right, go on.
Listen, when you drive around the city, you see a pretty good number of police officers standing around looking in the hole. Either they're working for MDC, CLNP, they're working for some company who's digging in our streets, climbing up our poles, or need a police officer there. What the average person fails to realize is that those companies pay the city a pretty good amount of money for just one police officer. They pay his salary, they pay the city, and some other
Benefits
things.
and everything else, pension and everything's built in.
Everything is
Yeah.
all dropped in.
Yeah.
However, they came out with a figure a few weeks ago of how many millions of dollars, I said millions, that the city makes off of this relationship. However, where do you think that money goes? The money that they make, goes into some coffer which the city uses from time to time to pay for other things. Why can't they take a portion of that money and invest it in public safety to decrease the cost of public
Well,
safety?
let's say they take that money, let's say they take all of the money and put it into public safety. Wherever they're taking it from is going to suffer. I mean, at the end of the day, it's money. It's a tool, and if you don't have enough tools to get the job done, then the job is eventually going to suffer. And so, no matter how you look at this, year after year after year, unless you get more revenue coming in, the problem is going to keep going. So where's the innovative thinking? Where are the different ideas to increase the grand list? I remember some years ago, you had the idea about have a fair, invite people here, underwrite some of the costs of them doing business, and things like you've got to give opportunity for the grand list to grow. Otherwise, it's just going to keep getting worse. The taxes are going to inch up. People are going to bail out of the city. People are going to start voting with their feet. Okay, even the little people will start voting with their feet eventually because they're going to be forced out.
They're gonna take their Section 8 and go somewhere else.
And go somewhere else.
That's right, man.
From a public safety perspective, you could take some managers who could take a handful of men and do wonders. We had a lieutenant here by the name of Gerry Pleasent. He was excellent at taking a few men, going out there and doing a fantastic job. We don't have that same quality of individual or have the foresight.
That's a leadership issue.
Hey, listen,
Yes.
I think we do have it in Chief Rebella. I think that his vision, man, by talking to this man, is in the right place, but still it goes back to the resources.
Well, Chief Ravello only gets
It goes back to they're limited.
an X number of dollars to
Exactly.
deploy
But
throughout
Reverend, in all due respect, you're not in a position to assess and take a look at what's being run very well or not being run well at all.
So you're saying the chief may be good, but the middle management and the other management.
Okay.
I'll be blunt about it. Yes, we do have a problem with middle management. We have some superstars in middle management, but the preponderance of them do not fall into that category.
So what protects the individuals who are not good managers?
Yeah.
Union or lack of willingness to discipline and hold accountable people in middle management?
All the above.
That's almost going to have to be the last word.
Anyway,
We're almost out of time here.
The biggest problem is the grand list, and we don't have one salesman for the city of Hartford, not one. There's not one person in our whole bureaucracy that's doing the cold calls that we all do every day to keep ourselves alive.
Mm.
And the idea that we're not aggressive to build a grand list is the problem. All the other problems fade away, can be talked out. But if we don't build a grand list, we have none of it.
There you go. So it all comes down to getting more revenue into the city, which is another discussion for another program. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We'll have to do it again next week, and hopefully Olga will join us then. See you all later on.